love you. Okay, you guys ready? Okay. Hey guys, and welcome back to Damalis. Today I get to introduce you to my friend Amelia. We started out as neighbors when we had first moved to our first place with the military in Florida, and we became friends, and man, now it's been, how long has it been? It's been like, almost 7 years, because Cora's turning 6 years, because Cora turned 1 when we first moved. So it's been almost 6 years of being friends, and so many moves. We both moved out to California, and now she's moved out of California, and I'm so jealous.
Hey, but you're close, so.
Yes, so close. So anyways, I thought that today would be really fun to chat all things birth stories with Amelia and having her kids with TRICARE. It's the healthcare with the military. So if you are in the military, you totally know what I am talking about. And if not, just stay tuned, because Amelia's story is so full of drama. You'll want to hear it. So, all right, Amelia, tell us, how many kids do you have and how old are they?
Well, I currently have two. I have Orion, who is about to turn 4. He'll be for August 4th, so ironically, Coast Guard Day. And then I have Autumn, and she is 3 months.
So cute. How has it been being in the newborn stages again?
Not as bad as I remember. I don't know. I feel like Orion was just more fussy, and she's just such a sweet baby, and she sleeps a lot, so it's been a lot better.
Oh, for sure. And second time around, you kind of know more of what you're doing, so it's not as stressful.
Yeah, definitely.
Like I was able to take a deep breath with Finn, because I was like, okay, I've already done this. I'm not like figuring out like what the heck I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Okay, so I found this so ironic, is that when we moved from Florida to California, I was 35 weeks pregnant, and then had to figure out all of Rosie's birth plan while we were living out of a hotel. And then you got pregnant with Autumn, and you had to move across country move. So tell us about the cross country move, why that makes such a big difference with our healthcare, and how it all went.
Well, I'm sure, as you know, with TRICARE, they just like to beat around the bush with like literally everything.
Yeah.
So I think we found out we were going to move around 33 or 34 weeks pregnant. And then, or no, I think actually it might have been 32 or 33. And so then we left around 35 weeks pregnant. And like pretty much from day one, finding out that, we were going to move, I obviously called TRICARE, and I was like, hey, like, I need to start switching over our healthcare to the East Coast. And that didn't seem to be too big of an issue. So I wasn't like too concerned. It's when we got over to Georgia, when we were staying with my mom for 2 weeks, that it started to become an issue, because I called them and I was like, I would like to see an OB, like what process do I need to take? And they're like, oh, you need to go see an actual doctor first.
Yep, a primary.
Yes. And so I was like,
how far along were you?
When I got to my mom's, I think I was 36 weeks pregnant.
Okay.
So yeah. And I was like, okay, well, like, I would like to like get this ball rolling. So I did that. I contacted a physician. I had to wait a whole week to get seen by them. And at that point, I was like, all right, not a big deal. It's fine. I got seen. They sent out the referral.
Because they have to confirm that you are pregnant at 37 weeks.
They were like, we need you to pee on a stick for us. And I'm like, big belly.
This baby in my belly.
They're like, just for TRICARE's sake, we have to have you pee on the stick. And I'm like, why though? Like, this is just so pointless. So by the time I finally got the referral, it was basically too late. And it was stressing me out, because I didn't know if I had groupie strep. I didn't know what the baby's position was. And those are two very important things to know, So I was very frantic, calling TRICARE, calling the nurse advice line, and basically no one could help. They just kept giving me the ring around that I had to go to an OB. And by the time I finally was talking to someone to get seen, they were like, "Oh, we don't have any appointments for like X amount of time." And I'm like, "All right, cool. I'm not gonna be here. I'm not
I
gonna be
think that
here."
that's one of the hardest thing about OB care is that when you are later in your third trimester, anywhere from, I don't know, 30 to 40 weeks, OBs don't want to take you on because they don't.
Crazy.
I know, because they don't know your history. They don't know how this pregnancy has gone. And they're just like, well, we're booked, we're full. Like, we already have people like for this month. And I think that that's not okay.
No,
They should
no,
always leave like one or two spots available for last case scenarios, or, if something were to happen, and not just say, we can't take you.
Definitely, especially in like emergency cases. Yeah, it was definitely stressful. And we went to my mom's for 2 weeks, because obviously we were closing on our house and we had nowhere to stay, and we're not going to just like spend a bunch of money on a hotel. So we're waiting on our house to close. And let's see, I was 38 and a half weeks pregnant when we did close on our house. And we went over there the day before we closed. I called the nurse advice line. I was like, okay, hypothetically, like, let's say I didn't get an OB, which I didn't think I would because,
Yeah.
basically 2 weeks to, the big show, if you will.
Yep.
I was just not hopeful. And they were like, okay, this is the hospital you can go to. And I was like, okay, I don't want to go there because they were trying to send me to the Air Force Base in Mississippi.
Oh, wow.
That was like an hour away. And I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not going to do that. Like, can you send me
Yeah.
somewhere else? So they gave me other options that were a lot closer,
Yeah.
thankfully. We closed on our house the next day, which that was just a whole drama-filled scenario, which I think I
Yeah.
filled you in on.
Yeah, they kicked Amelia out of her house after they closed, you guys. How
Mhm.
crazy is that? Oh
Yeah,
my gosh,
yeah,
I was like fuming for you.
yeah. All because we didn't bring the cashier's check, which they said that they didn't need us to bring.
Yeah.
Turns out we did need it. So they're like, sorry, we technically don't have this money that we said you didn't need to bring. So you can't stay in your house. And we're like, are you kidding? I'm pretty sure that's what set me in the labor.
I was gonna say either that, but wasn't there like a storm or something too around that time? Maybe like,
There might have been. There have been
okay.
so many storms lately that I
Yeah.
can't even keep count.
Okay.
But yeah, so we got into our house the next day, got all of that sorted. They ended up paying for the hotel stay, thank goodness.
Yeah.
Because I'm about to have a baby. You're really gonna kick me out of the house
Yeah.
that we
You're like, I'm
technically have already
39
bought?
weeks and you're kicking me out
Yeah.
of the house that you just said I could close on.
Yeah.
What?
So we got into the house, we started like unpacking stuff, which, maybe I shouldn't have been doing that far
Lots of
along.
movement and lifting and stuff can
Yes.
definitely make you go into labor too.
Yeah. And so I don't know if you had this issue with the movers, but they use like really, really tall boxes.
Okay.
So I was like
Oh, yeah.
unpacking halfway down. And I was like, okay, Stephen, like you need to get the rest because
Yeah.
my big belly, I can't.
Yeah.
Night of the fourth, right? Technically the morning of the fifth, at 2 o'clock, I woke up with contractions. And I was like, okay, maybe like it's just an upset stomach. So I like kind of sat there and I was like, no, I don't think this is an upset stomach. Like, I think I'm having contractions. And so I woke Steven up and he was like, no, you're not having contractions. I'm going back to bed. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to stay up. So I stayed up for about an hour. I had a bowl of oatmeal and just kind of like walked around timing it. And by time, an hour passed, I was like, okay, I should probably call like TRICARE, the nurse advice line, see what they say. So I called them. They're like, yeah, you definitely need to go to the hospital. And as you know, with like second babies, they come quicker.
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of like concerned about that because Orion came pretty quick. So I knew this baby was obviously going to come like super fast.
Yeah.
So 3 o'clock, I called TRICARE, got Steven up. got Orion up. We all loaded up, got to the hospital about 4. I think our hospital was like maybe 15 to 20 minutes away, so not too
Oh,
bad.
that's not that bad.
Yeah. And we parked. Stephen went in just to like make sure we were at the right spot because we had to go to the ER. And they're like, yeah, this is the right spot. We walked in, they got us checked in. I think we were up on the labor and delivery floor
Hmm.
by like 4:15, 4:20. And they checked me. And this is the other thing too that like I was not thrilled about. So I'm having like all these like intense contractions and they go to check me and it was super painful, like really, really painful. I was like, can you please stop?
Yeah.
Like, please do not check me anymore. And they
Yeah.
just continued to check
Oh my
me.
gosh.
And then I don't know if like she did it or if it just kind of happened at the same time as her checking, but my water broke. And I was so mad.
Yep.
I was just like, I was fuming at that point. I literally was like, did she just break my waters? You know, like I was so upset. Um, and by that point, I kept like telling them, I was like, I don't know if I have groupie strep. Like, you need to give me an IV, especially now that you just broke my water.
Yep.
So they gave me groupie strep or the IV for it. And I had her by 5 o'clock.
Oh my gosh.
So less than an hour of being like on the labor and delivery floor. Because they said that I was 10 centimeters dilated, which makes sense because by the time I got to that point, I was like, I felt like I needed to push.
Yeah.
And this is the other thing too that bothers me about OBs, and it's not even like anything to do with TRICARE. It's the fact that like if they're not ready, the labor and delivery nurses, they're like, just wait, just wait, just wait. And I'm like, I can't really
I
just hold the
can't.
baby in,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I'll do my best, but like I can't.
Yeah.
And so with her, I had no epidural. I felt like all the pain. It was horrible. But at the end of the day, like I'm just happy she's here. They did end up testing me, and I was positive for group B strep. So they had to watch her for about 24 hours.
Yeah.
So it was just like crazy.
The drama of it all.
Mhm.
Man. And all of it could have been avoided if like an OB would have just agreed to see you
Yeah,
without
yeah, yeah. I could have
having to have
like
a
maybe
pregnancy
set a
test.
date or
Yeah.
something to be like induced. Because like obviously groupie strep is like not something you want to mess around with. And from my knowledge, you have to have, I think, like 4 hours of the IV in you
Hmm.
before it like technically works. So I think my
Yeah.
saving grace was that she wasn't in the birth canal for too long.
Yeah. Yeah. I had group B strep with Rosie, and it was kind of like
Mm-hmm.
the same thing. They tested me for it before I went in. And as soon as I got in, they were having me on it, but like, it wasn't 4 hours. And so they
Yeah,
had to watch her as well. But
yeah,
things ended up being fine. I was so nervous because I didn't really know too much about it because none of my other kids had it. So I was like, I don't really know what that means. And they're like,
yeah.
well,
And
just watch her and make sure everything's okay.
it's crazy too, because from my what I read, you can like pick it up within just a couple weeks. So like I think they start testing around 37, 38 weeks.
Hmm.
And if you test negative for it, then you can still test positive for it later and like not know.
Yeah.
So,
Wow. Huh. Makes me wonder, like, if they test people at the hospital just like to see, because
yeah.
is it like a rapid response? Like, would they know?
They have one, I think, that they told me was like an hour. It took like an hour for them to like get the results back. So
Okay.
I mean, they have it pretty quick now.
Yeah, that's not too
Um,
bad.
yeah.
Okay. Well, having heard that dramatic story with your daughter, how is this birth different from Orion's birth? Because
Okay, so
his
you were
was
there.
so, I know his was so special because it was the first. So
Yeah. So, as you know, I woke up really early with like a bloody show,
yeah,
and I texted you, and I was like, "Can I send you a TMI pic?"
I was like,
You're like,
absolutely.
"Yep." You're like, "Yep." You should probably call your doctor. So I
Yeah.
did. I think I called them around like 7 o'clock or 8 whenever they opened. Told them what was going on, and they were like, "Hey, yeah, please come in." I can't really remember too many of the details. I want to
I
say I
feel
was
like you didn't bring your bags or anything, right?
no, no,
Yeah.
we didn't. We didn't. So I'm pretty sure I was probably like at least 3 to 4 centimeters dilated before that happened. So I knew I was like dilating.
Yeah.
And I think they had done a membrane sweep with him at some point. And then, so I went in, they checked, they were like, you're 6 centimeters dilated. You should probably head on to the hospital.
Mhm.
So I was like, all right, cool. I was pretty upset because I hadn't had anything to eat. And they were like, yeah, you should probably hold off on that. And I was like, do you not know me? I'm
You're like,
a
I'm
pretty hungry
hungry.
person.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we went, got our bags, brought him back, went to the hospital, everything got checked in. I want to say we got to the hospital either around 12 or 2, somewhere around there. We went to the hospital and I had him by 6:53. I had to wait an hour to push because
Did
the
you have to wait
doc,
for the OB?
yeah, because so he was helping out someone else who
Okay.
I guess she was having like complications or something, which like I totally get.
Oh,
But
that could
like,
have been my
I don't
friend.
know, maybe send someone else in, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I don't so my saving grace there, I think, was the fact that I had an epidural with him, so I didn't feel as much,
Yeah.
except for the back pain. I did feel a lot of back pressure. But his was like relatively smooth, like pushing wise.
Hmm.
I had a tear with both of them. I had a
Okay.
second degree tear. I hemorrhaged with him a little bit, so they had to put me on the blood transfusion, and I was pretty much like knocked out for the
Hmm.
past or for like the 3 or 4 hours after having him.
Hmm.
So I really didn't get to like have any bonding time with him after that.
Oh my gosh. I don't think
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah, because I was just so out of it. Like I almost passed out 3 times
Oh, wow.
after trying to stand.
Yeah.
Like at one point they had to use that little thing under my nose to like
Oh,
get me to stand up.
yeah.
Um, so like it was kind of like a little bit more of a traumatic birth with him, which is
Mm.
part of the reason why I waited so long to have a second because I didn't want to go through that again, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, um, between that and like him not sleeping well, I just was like, I think I'm good with one. But Steven was like, come on, like he needs a sibling. So I was like, fine. So, that is why we waited so long. Yeah, I wish like looking back, I kind of wish I would have like had, the second sooner, but it is what it is. And like we're thankful for her. She's a great baby. So,
Yeah.
and he loves her. And
Yes. Oh
that's
my gosh. Yeah. It's so precious watching him with
yes.
her.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
think, once she gets to be a little bit older and is able to sit up and like interact more, I think they're gonna like be really good friends. So
Okay, so I'm actually really surprised about what you said happened about passing out and hemorrhaging with
mhm.
Orion and then tearing. So you do you think that you almost passed out because of your hemorrhage? Like did you lose
Yeah.
a lot of blood with that? So that's why they had you on
And
a blood transfusion.
yeah, and so like after I got pregnant with her, I was like researching the whole like hemorrhaging thing. And I mean, a lot of things can cause that. I think for me, part of it was because of the second degree tear, obviously. And you just obviously lose a lot of blood in general. But I think it was also in correlation to the epidural. So,
Interesting.
I was like, I'm gonna at least try to go without an epidural this time,
Yeah.
which, I couldn't even get
Do you think it's because you
one.
couldn't necessarily feel?
Probably, yeah.
Okay. So,
Hmm.
I don't know. My experience is obviously different, but I had a
Hmm.
second degree tear with Finnegan, and they said it was a bilateral, like instead of going this way, it was more this way. And
Hmm.
so my OB, I had a different OB for all three. She told me that with any of my future pregnancies, I would tear and I would probably have second degree tears each time, which like is so scary hearing something like that because I don't know the impact that would make or like how it would feel like going and having a tear without an epidural. So
Yeah.
how was having your second degree tear without an epidural and like how was it getting that all fixed?
I actually feel like I healed a lot better after
Really?
having her. Like I was up on my feet like hours after having her.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Did you
and Stephen
feel
was.
them? Did they give you local anesthetic?
Mm-mm.
Did they
I
just
I
stitch
didn't
you
have
up or
anything.
anything?
Nope, I didn't have anything except for the antibiotic for her. That was it.
But did they stitch your tear or did they just let you heal natural?
Oh no, they stitched it. They did stitch it.
Did you feel that?
A little bit, yeah. But I
Okay.
mean, like I think I was already thinking a lot about like everything that was going on down there.
Yeah.
Um, and
Like the adrenaline, obviously, you have so much
yeah,
adrenaline after giving
it
birth.
it was a lot. Yeah. I don't remember. I remember like it happening. I remember them stitching me up after having him,
Yeah.
but I don't remember
Yeah.
too much about like what they did. And now that you say that about the bilateral tear, I'm wondering if I also had a bilateral tear because like
Mm.
I just was so set on like not tearing this time because
Yeah.
of having no epidural and like feel like being able to feel everything, you know,
Yeah.
and could kind of control it more, if you will.
Yeah.
I wish I would have asked or known
Yeah.
to ask.
Yeah.
So,
I think that's just something that scares me so much. Like when I think about giving birth is I just get so scared about feeling pain. And so when I think
mhm,
of like second degree burns, I'm like, wow, that's really painful. But so like
yeah,
second degree tears, I'm like, that must equivalent to like really painful. You know what I mean? But I
yeah,
didn't tear with Rosie and I had gotten an epidural so I wouldn't feel it if I tore. But then I didn't
hmm.
tear. And I was like, wow, I could have done the whole thing without an epidural.
Well, you live and you learn, you know.
Yeah. Man, I think it has a lot to do with your doctor though as well because when I was pushing with Finn, my OB was just like, doesn't matter, just keep pushing. Okay, take a break, take a breather and ready whenever you're ready, just push. She wasn't necessarily in tune with my body because she wanted Finn out as fast as possible.
Mm.
Whereas my other doctor, my OB with Rosie was like, okay, stop, don't push. And I was like, what? Like, this is so different. And she was like, we're waiting for your body and we're going to stay in tune with like your body so it's easier for you. And
Oh
like,
yeah.
I was just like, oh my gosh, like in the middle of pushing and her telling me not to push. I was like, but I need to push. She's like, don't do it. Don't just wait. And
Ooh.
I was like,
I wish
okay,
I would have had that much self-discipline. I
right?
literally pushed so hard to get her out because I just, the ring of fire and everything was so painful. I was like, nope.
Yeah.
And I remember hearing this thing and someone was like, after, you get them out after the head, it like
It just,
just goes away.
yep.
And so I was like, I need to get to that point. And sure enough, I did. And it felt so much better. I was like, oh, it's like just a relief.
Yeah.
But now that you say that, I'm like, I kind of wish I would have taken it a little bit easier because maybe I wouldn't have
Well,
torn.
what's so interesting is like because I'm not in that field, like I have no clue, especially when you're really hormonal and you're going through birth. Like you
Hmm.
don't know. You just because everything's coming at you so fast and all at once.
Yes.
And so for someone just to speak into you, like just wait. I was like, what? Like I didn't know that because otherwise I would have just been like, get her out, get her out. So um, do you think that the epidural made you have a really slow recovery versus not having one? Because you were like, I
Mhm.
was up around. That's so nice.
Yeah. Like if I could go back in time, I would choose to not get an epidural with
Yeah.
him. But the other thing too is I feel like I didn't do as much research
Yeah.
with him,
Yeah.
like I did with her. So I would recommend maybe researching a little bit more like the pros and cons of epidurals and just, natural births.
So, any mom who's in your position, what would be your advice to them if they had to move at 35, 34 weeks pregnant, if they are on TRICARE and it's their first pregnancy? Any advice for those moms out there?
Take it easy. Don't like overexert yourself because it's just, it's you're trying to enjoy like the last few weeks by yourself with your spouse or like if you only have one with that one child. Like I feel like I didn't get to enjoy any time really with Orion. We were just so focused on moving. Um, and then, just learn about everything going on or that's going to happen to your body. Research, talk to your doctors, practice the whole like breathing techniques because that
Mm.
did help. There's some things that you can get that I unfortunately didn't get to use because everything happened so quick, but they had the birthing cones that you can get and it puts pressure on your palm,
Mm.
which helps like divert the pain to your palm instead of like thinking about everything else.
Yeah.
You can also get a tincture that I got for the contraction pains, the after use contraction pains. But yeah, just like take it easy, learn about everything that's going to happen. I think those are like the two biggest things.
I love that. I love that. I wish that I would have known things like that, especially
Hmm.
with like my first. Okay, so as of late, what has been something that's made you so happy, like in your motherhood journey, like something that just made you smile or been like, oh my gosh, that was so precious?
Any interaction that Orion has with Autumn, I think, lately. And then I just like separate of that, like just them in general. Like, Orion's almost 4. He's doing some really cute stuff now. Just watching her grow and kind of comparing like her to Orion makes me a little sad sometimes because I'm like, I miss him being this small. So
I
just
do
stuff
that
like
with
that.
all of my kids. All of them are out of like the baby phase. Rosie's almost out of her toddler phase. She's so big for being 3. And I just like look at them and I'm like, I miss the baby stage.
Hmm. It goes by too quickly.
It does. It really does. I'm like, wow, time is such a thief. Such a thief. Okay, so as of late, what has been one of your favorite recipes that you've been making? I feel as moms, we're always looking for like new recipes or like meals or like trying not to do the exact same thing on repeat. And then you always have like that go-to meal that you're like, I love
Yes.
this. It's easy. Let me make this.
So my favorite thing lately is it's a cilantro lime chicken bowl.
That sounds
Um,
amazing. I
it is,
love
and it's nice
cilantro.
because it's a crock pot meal.
Oh my gosh.
So
Yes, that's winning.
you
Okay,
just
tell
throw
me
the
about it.
chicken, in the crock pot. I usually get I think it's Brianna's cilantro lime sauce.
Okay.
You put like half of that in there with a jar of salsa, and you let it sit in there for like 6.5 to 7 hours, however much chicken you have.
Mm-hmm.
And then you kind of like shred it. I usually do white rice.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll do the white rice, the chicken, and then I'll put corn, um, some chopped up cilantro, black beans, and
Mm.
then an avocado. And then I'll put the rest of the Brianna's cilantro lime sauce on top. And it is so good. And just
I'm
talking about it,
like
I'm like, I want
salivating.
yeah,
This
it's
sounds
so
so
good.
good.
Yeah.
I
Lots
feel
of
like that's
leftovers.
something you could pick up from like a store that you would think would be too hard to make at home. And
Hmm.
really, it's not that hard.
Oh no. And crock pot meals are like the best, especially with kids.
Yeah, with
It's like,
newborns, yeah.
yeah, I don't have to
You
like
throw
think
it in
about
the
much.
morning. By the time dinner's done, you're like, okay, it's done, and I don't have to do anything.
Hmm.
That's so nice.
Yep.
Love that. Oh, well, thank you so much for coming on. Are you all right if I just pray for our listeners really quick?
Hmm.
All right. Dear God, thank you so much for today and for Amelia being able to come on and just share her birth stories and try care and just life in general. I'm so excited to try that recipe. I pray that all of the people who are listening in enjoyed hearing from her and will go about their day feeling encouraged and uplifted. In Jesus' name, amen. Well, thank you, Damalis. Thank you, all of my listeners, for tuning in to Amelia's story today. I hope you felt encouraged and uplifted or had just fun listening to another birth story. Please stay tuned. In 2 weeks, we will have another episode. And in the meantime, go and subscribe to whatever platform you are listening on so you will get those notifications when the new episode is up. We'll see you next time. Bye, guys.